My dear friends, have you ever asked yourself, why are there people who are loved wherever they go? Everything they do goes smoothly. Everyone they meet is willing to help, while others, no matter how hard they work, how careful or diligent they are, keep stumbling, being betrayed, getting hurt, or constantly facing unfavorable circumstances. I have asked myself those questions, not just once, and I believe you too must have thought about it at least once. When we are young, we easily believe that life is just a series of random chances. The rich are simply lucky to be born in the right place. The happy are lucky to meet the right person. The successful are the ones who happen to encounter the right opportunities. As for the failures, maybe they're just unlucky. But the longer I live, the more I witness, the clearer I see. Life is not random at all. It is not by chance that someone is blessed, and it is not without cause that another person remains trapped in suffering. Everything is the result of one factor that few pay attention to: their inner world. What each person thinks, what they believe, what they feel, even if unheard by anyone, still operates like a magnet, drawing to them corresponding circumstances, people, and events. There is a well-known saying in the spiritual world, often repeated by modern thinkers: you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. It sounds simple, but if you truly sit in stillness and observe life, you will see how astonishingly true it is. I remember a friend of mine, a capable woman, well-educated, successful in her career, pleasant in appearance, yet for more than 10 years she kept falling into toxic relationships. Whoever she loved, they never cherished her. Betrayal after betrayal, disrespect after disrespect. One day she sighed, "Maybe it's my fate. Maybe I'm not worthy of love." I didn't think it was fate or unworthiness. I simply told her, perhaps inside you still carry the belief that you're not worthy, and it is precisely that belief which keeps attracting people who treat you poorly. That's right. The outer world is a mirror reflecting the inner world. What you think, you will attract. You don't need to say it out loud. As long as you believe and feel it deeply, the universe will hear and send it back, often in ways you could never imagine. There are people who always fear failure, who calculate carefully, who overthink every step, yet still they fail. Because in their mind, they are focused only on what could go wrong, and that energy is the frequency they are transmitting. Like a radio that only plays a sad song, how could it expect to hear joyful music in return? Others are always afraid of being deceived, and time and again, they meet liars. That is not random. It is because they have broadcast that signal, and the universe simply obliges. We are living in a universe where each person is a living magnet. No one taught us how to operate ourselves, yet the truth is, our mind is the most powerful controller of reality. What you think daily, the little mantras you repeat silently, your fears, your secret desires, all form an attractive field around you. And the universe doesn't distinguish whether you love or hate it. It only knows. This is what you think about the most, so I'll send you more of it. Just observe yourself. When you are joyful, relaxed, and positive, everything around you feels lighter. When you are anxious, irritated, and drained, everything seems to oppose you. It's not the circumstances that changed. It's your inner frequency that shifted, and reality only responded to that. I once read a beautiful saying, where your mind goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, reality is formed. This world is not a place of random punishment or arbitrary reward. It is a gigantic mirror, reflecting not your face, but your heart. There are people who always believe that life is full of lies, darkness, and that good people suffer. And sure enough, that is all they see. Because they have put on dark-colored glasses, and the world only reflects back the same color. You cannot see a rainbow if you only look up on rainy days. And you cannot attract positivity if your heart is filled only with fear, doubt, and scarcity. I too have gone through a period when work was stagnant, relationships crumbled, and health declined. I thought I was unlucky, but in truth, I was only meeting myself, with prolonged negativity, repeated disappointments, and deeply rooted limiting beliefs. They turned me into a magnet, drawing in all the unwanted things. Everything only began to change when I stopped, observed, and adjusted my life frequency. Not instantly, but gradually, as if life had heard me broadcasting a new song, the song of gratitude, lightness, and hope. If you are facing difficulties, don't just look outward. Turn inward and ask, what am I thinking every day? What emotions am I carrying? What do I truly believe lies ahead of me? Perhaps what you thought yesterday is shaping your life today, and what you sow today will become the fruit of your near future. This universe is, in fact, deeply fair, and the law of attraction is one part of that fairness. If you have ever experienced thinking of someone and they suddenly call you, or fearing something and then it happens, that is the law of attraction in action. Whether you believe it or not, it is working every second of every day. The only question left is whether you recognize what you are attracting and whether you want to live consciously so that goodness finds its way to you. After all, I have realized that life is not a chain of random events. Everything that happens, whether joyful or sorrowful, smooth or turbulent, falls within an invisible law that governs us all. This law was not created by humans, but everyone living in this world is under its influence. And that is the law of attraction. When people hear the name law of attraction, many immediately think of something mystical, vague, or spiritual. But in reality, it is one of the fundamental laws of the universe, operating no differently from gravity or magnetism. Whether you believe in it or not, it is always at work. The law of attraction states, what you think, you will attract. What you feel, you will receive more of. In other words, you are a broadcasting frequency, and life responds with that same frequency. Nothing more, nothing less. A person who constantly thinks life is so unfair will attract more and more unfair experiences. On the other hand, someone who always tells themselves, I am always lucky, will unsurprisingly keep encountering luck again and again. The universe doesn't understand the language of words, nor does it differentiate between desire and fear. It doesn't judge right, wrong, or good, bad as humans do. It only receives and responds to the frequency you transmit. And that frequency is not in your words, but deep in your emotions, beliefs, and recurring thoughts. If you always feel a sense of lack, even while living in a house full of comfort, you are still broadcasting a frequency of lack. The universe doesn't look at the house you live in, but at the state of your inner being. And instead of sending things to make you feel more abundant, it will oblige. That feeling of scarcity by bringing more financial worries, unexpected expenses, or inexplicable emptiness. On the contrary, if you live with gratitude, even if it is just for a glass of cool water, a gentle breeze, or the morning sunlight, you are sending out the frequency of appreciation, abundance, and happiness. Then you will be surprised to see life bringing you more precious things. A good invitation, an unexpected opportunity, an ideal companion. I once met a teacher in the Highlands. She had nothing but a simple classroom and barefoot children. Yet, she always smiled, grateful for each day she got to teach, to see her students make progress, to witness their clear, innocent eyes. And then, from somewhere, people came to know her, donating books, rebuilding the school, opening more classes. She never asked, never demanded. She simply lived in the frequency of gratitude, and that naturally attracted good things to her. Another friend of mine was the opposite. He always lived in fear of being deceived. He was constantly wary, suspicious, and closed off. As a result, he only encountered dishonest people, unclear situations, and untrustworthy circumstances. I told him, perhaps what you fear doesn't come from the outside, but from the very frequency you are sending out. Life doesn't choose to favor or punish anyone. It only responds. And to respond, it needs a signal. You are the one sending out that signal every single day. Understanding this, I gradually changed myself. I no longer complained about what hadn't yet come, no longer drowned in feelings of lack or inferiority. Each time a negative thought appeared, I asked myself, do I want this to multiply in my life? If not, I changed it. I searched for something more positive to think, to feel, to speak. If you find that life is responding with what you do not desire, perhaps you need to change your living frequency. The law of attraction will be your silent but honest companion, helping you draw in everything that matches the new self you are becoming. I once believed that simply wanting something strongly was enough for life to respond. That if I thought of success every day, it would arrive. But the harsh reality was this. I once desperately wanted success, thought about it endlessly, made clear plans, even hung positive affirmations all around my room, and yet success did not come. Life stood still while I was stuck, confused, and exhausted. I began to wonder, could the law of attraction be wrong? Or am I missing something? Only later, when I read a short but powerful sentence, did I finally understand. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Not superficial desires, not spoken words, but the energy you live with every day. That is what the universe hears. Looking back at myself, I realized, though I said, I want success, deep inside I was full of fear. Fear of failure, fear of comparison, fear of not being good enough. I was sending out signals of worry, mistrust, and insecurity, even while outwardly trying to stay positive. So, though I wanted to rise, the vibration I was sending was one of doubt and fear. The universe, neutral and precise, simply reflected that signal back, sending me experiences that made me feel even more unworthy, unprepared, and lacking. This difference between wanting and being is what prevents many people from attracting what they long for. Some say, I want a happy love, but deep down, they don't believe they deserve love, always fearing betrayal and abandonment. And then, as if by an inevitable law, the relationships they attract mirror those exact fears. The law of attraction doesn't listen to what you say. It listens to what you feel most deeply, most repeatedly, and live with the longest. That's why insecure people, despite their efforts to connect, often feel isolated, because their very energy of insecurity pushes people away or draws in relationships that reflect their inner wounds. Similarly, someone who harbors envy, even if they smile outwardly, unconsciously emits negative energy, attracting experiences that only deepen their loneliness. A person living in fear doesn't need to say a word. Their circumstances will continually mirror that fear through instability, loss, misunderstandings, and being stripped of what they hold dear. If you only focus on what you want, but inside you remain full of conflict, anxiety, and distrust, the law of attraction cannot deliver. It doesn't operate on prayers, but on the frequency of being. The universe doesn't care about what you want. It cares about who you are. You cannot attract abundance while feeling empty inside. You cannot attract true love without ever appreciating yourself. You cannot attract big opportunities without believing you are worthy of greatness. I once knew someone who proved this truth clearly. He wasn't wealthy, nor remarkable, but he lived as if he already had everything. He didn't envy others' success, didn't fear abandonment, and always cherished the smallest things. A warm meal, a kind word, a sincere thank you. And then, naturally, he attracted people as warm as he was. A devoted life partner, kind collaborators, a life abundant in both material and spiritual ways. He never tried to attract anything. He simply lived in the energy he wished to see, and the universe quietly but surely responded. If you are tired because you haven't received what you want, don't rush to blame fate. Look inside and ask, who am I in each moment of living? If you want peace, become peace first. If you want happiness, nurture it in small things. If you want love, love yourself with understanding, gratitude, and respect. You cannot attract what you have not become. The law of attraction responds to the true energy you live with, even if you don't realize it. Thoughts are only the initial signal. Emotions and beliefs are the energy that nourish that signal. If you want to change what you are attracting, don't begin with the outside world. Begin within. Become what you want to see. Live as if you already have it, deserve it, and are grateful for it. Because you cannot harvest what you have not sown. Every thought, every emotion, every action is a seed, and the law of attraction is the neutral gardener, quietly nurturing and returning exactly the kind of fruit you have planted. Want to change your destiny? Change yourself first. Want to attract positivity? Be the one who radiates positivity. Want life to feel lighter? Be gentle with yourself. The universe does not play favorites, but it always responds with honesty. And you are the only one who can adjust the frequency you emit each day. When I began practicing the law of attraction, I once fell into a common trap, believing that simply thinking long enough, imagining vividly enough, desiring strongly enough would bring me what I longed for, without doing anything else. We are often captivated by miraculous stories where someone just writes down what they want, visualizes it nightly, and then the universe delivers. But few mention the rest, how they acted, how persistently they worked, how they lived each day in alignment with what they desired. The law of attraction is indeed about energy, but it does not replace action. It is not a magic wand that turns dreams into reality, while you keep the same thoughts, words, habits, and mindset. A person who sits still, saying, I will be rich, but spends money in fear or complains about scarcity, is still emitting lack. And as I've said, the universe only reflects that back. You may repeat affirmations 100 times, I am loved. But if you still gossip about others, still fear betrayal, still behave as if you are undeserving of love, then you are denying what you claim to want. You expect a new outcome but cling to an old way of living. So how can your vibration change? The law of attraction will not act for you. It is like a compass, pointing you toward the direction of light, the path aligned with your energy. But to reach that destination, you must walk. And to walk, you must live as though what you want has already come true. There is a saying I deeply cherish: act as if. Live as if what you want has already become real. If you want success, don't just write it down. Live as someone ready for success. Work with professionalism, communicate with confidence and composure, and build the habits of successful people. When you play the role long enough, you will truly become that role. This is not pretense, but the process of redefining yourself through action. If you want to attract a happy relationship, behave like someone who is already happy. Love yourself, set boundaries, and be grateful for what you have. When you emit the frequency of I am abundant, I am loving, I am worthy, those who come into your life will reflect that truth back to you. One of the biggest mistakes when applying the law of attraction is waiting for the miracle to happen first, then changing your behavior afterward. The truth is, you must become the kind of person who aligns with that miracle before it arrives. A seed cannot bear sweet fruit if the soil is barren. Dreams cannot sprout if you still live as someone who doesn't believe they deserve them. Remember, the law of attraction doesn't do the work for you, but it always guides you in the right direction. It sends signals, inspiration, and meaningful coincidences to lead you step by step toward your desire. When you start living differently, acting differently, speaking differently, life will reflect back exactly the new person you are becoming. I have witnessed this in my own life, and I believe you will too. Just don't only dream, live as if the dream has already begun. Because in truth, it starts the moment you change within yourself. I love the image of a farmer sowing seeds whenever I think about the law of attraction. A farmer doesn't plant rice expecting oranges, nor does he sow mango today and search for fruit tomorrow. He plants exactly what he wants to harvest, patiently tending the land each day with faith, action, and time. He doesn't force the fruit to grow faster. He simply ensures the right seeds are sown, the right water is given, and the right work is done. Life works the same way. Every thought, word, and belief you repeat is a seed sown into the universe. The universe doesn't filter or judge. It doesn't ask, are you sure you want to plant this negative seed? Nor does it stop you when you dwell in worry or complaint. It simply receives the energy you emit and mirrors it back. What you sow, you reap. If you often say life is exhausting, you are planting the seed of exhaustion. If you often think, I'm not good enough, you are planting the sprout of self-doubt. Day after day, those seeds are watered by emotions, fertilized by inner dialogue, and nurtured by repeated behaviors, until they grow into exactly what you fear. Then you look at life, see it confirming your belief, and continue thinking, everything is unfair. But you can change the seed at any time. Start sowing seeds of gratitude, hope, kindness, generosity, abundance, and love. The simplest way is to make it a daily practice. I began with a small notebook. Every morning, I wrote down 3 things I was grateful for. It could be the aroma of coffee, sunlight streaming through the window, or a traffic-free morning. The more I wrote, the more reasons I found to be grateful. When the heart vibrates with appreciation, the world responds with even more things to appreciate. Beyond gratitude, I practiced visualizing the good. Not to escape reality, but to train my mind to spot the positive amid the noise of negativity. I imagined myself working effectively, walking into meetings confidently, returning home fulfilled. This not only shifted my emotions, but also guided me to behave and speak differently, and thus the results changed. I also cultivated the habit of observing my thoughts. When a negative idea surfaced, I paused and asked, is this the seed I want to plant? If not, I replaced it with something more positive. At first, it felt forced, but over time, positivity became the main crop in my mental garden. The law of attraction is like a radio. If you want to hear jazz, you must tune to the right frequency. You can't expect to hear FM when you're on AM. The universe works the same way. It won't bring you what you want unless you broadcast at the right frequency. And that frequency is the energy you live with. You don't have to force yourself to be positive. Just plant small seeds every day. A kind word to yourself, a minute of deep breathing, a line of gratitude, a loving thought towards someone. One seed a day, and soon the garden of your life will bloom exactly as you planted. I once thought the law of attraction was magic, that if I wished enough, wrote enough, and imagined enough, my dream would appear like a reward from the sky. But watching happy and successful people, I realized their magnetism didn't come from vague luck. It came from real-life skills. The skill of creating a positive field every single day. Successful people are not always in the right place at the right time, nor do they always have special advantages. They know how to keep their mindset clear, open, and trusting even without immediate results. They live as if the good is already on its way. And because of that, it truly comes. They are kind before opportunities appear, joyful before success arrives, and loving before love is returned. I once knew a woman who wasn't wealthy or remarkable by society's standards, yet she lived generously. Everyone who met her felt comforted and warm. When facing setbacks, she remained compassionate. Whatever she had, she shared. Whoever needed help, she gave. Strangely, her life was full of serendipity. Jobs came without applying. Help appeared in hard times, and she befriended only kind people. I realized she wasn't waiting for luck. She was the magnet of luck. She didn't demand fairness. She lived fairly. She didn't wait to be appreciated. She appreciated everything from within. That mindset was the strongest frequency for the law of attraction to work fully. On the other hand, I've seen people who worked very hard, yet remained stuck. Not because of lack of talent, but because their energy was steeped in resentment, fear, and doubt. They didn't believe life was good, nor that they were worthy. They lived closed, defensive, tense. That frequency was like a fogged glass. Even when light shined, it couldn't pass through. Opportunities came, but they couldn't see them, or they weren't open enough to receive them. That's why I believe attraction isn't luck. It's a life skill to cultivate. You don't need to change the whole world, only adjust your own frequency. Live as someone ready to receive good. Choose generosity over pettiness. Choose trust over doubt. Choose kindness even unseen. Everything you send out eventually returns. If you want good things to find you, become the person they want to find. Warm enough to attract sincerity, optimistic enough to endure, patient enough to sow and wait, genuine enough to give without calculation. As long as you tune into the right frequency, every dream you hold is already on its way to you. Over the years, I've met people living through immense hardship, illness, poverty, loneliness, yet holding an inner peace that radiates outward. They may not possess much, but they carry a treasure, a steady, open, grateful, trusting heart. That alone transformed their lives endlessly, even when their starting point seemed to hold no hope. I remember an old woman selling sticky rice on the sidewalk of a small street corner. Every morning, she woke up at 4 a.m. to cook, her smile always radiant, her hands trembling as she carefully wrapped each portion for her customers. She had no children or grandchildren by her side, lived alone in a modest rented room, yet she always said, "I'm still very healthy. As long as someone buys my sticky rice, I'm happy." On her little cart, there was always a vase of fresh flowers. No one ever taught her about the law of attraction, but she lived as if she understood it deeply. When your heart shines, your life shines. And indeed, she was never lonely. Passers-by adored her. Some days people even gifted her flowers, and a charity group once helped repair her leaky roof. I realized that her positive energy field had attracted all of that, not through prayers, but through her daily way of living. On the other hand, I have also met people who possessed material abundance, yet always felt spiritually lacking. They lived in big houses, but every day was a cycle of worry, jealousy, and complaints. No matter how much they had, they still felt empty. They demanded that life change before they themselves would change, and so everything remained trapped in the same suffocating loop. We often think that circumstances shape our mood, but the truth is, our mood shapes our circumstances. The more faith you hold, the more possibilities you attract. The The more gratitude you express, the more reasons you find to be grateful. Conversely, if your heart is filled only with fear, blame, and envy, then no matter how far you go, you will always return to the same starting point, your original insecurity. Lao Tzu once said, "When the mind is at peace, even flat land becomes paradise. When the mind is chaotic, even beauty turns into hell." It is not where you live that decides the quality of your life, but the frequency your heart emits. You may be poor, sick, or alone, but if you still keep a piece of hope, a spark of gratitude, a gentle word of encouragement for yourself, you still have a doorway to move forward. The law of attraction doesn't require you to be rich or talented. It only asks you to live as if the good is already on its way. And when you believe it, the universe begins to shift. If you are going through tiring days, ask yourself, what positive thought can I choose today? What can I give thanks for, no matter how small? How can I take one step forward with a slightly different attitude? Just one small act, repeated daily, creates a powerful vibration. Choose to emit the frequency of someone ready to receive goodness. Live as the person happiness is seeking, not the one just sitting and waiting. Life is a flowing river. You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to surf them. You cannot choose the weather, but you can choose the mindset with which you step outside, whether in sunshine or rain. The most miraculous thing is that when you change your heart, the entire sky before you begins to change its colors. Look at yourself with more kindness and compassion. Wherever you are on your journey, you always have the right to choose your mindset again. From there, little by little, you will become a magnet, attracting what you most deeply desire through the transformation that comes from within. If you feel what I've shared is meaningful, please hit like to give this channel more energy to spread positive messages. Share this video with a friend who is struggling, because who knows? Maybe just one small part of it could be enough to help them rise again. And if you have ever gone through similar circumstances, but overcame them through your mindset, leave your story in the comments below. I believe each story is a seed of inspiration for the community. Right now, you may be facing a challenge, but you are not standing there alone. Inside you, there is light, there is strength to lift yourself up, there is potential to attract what you've never imagined. All you need, keep your heart steady, choose faith, and radiate the frequency of someone ready to receive goodness. Thank you for listening until the end. May you always be a warm source of light in this world. And see you again in the next videos on this journey of inner awakening.